Hello, NASW Colorado social workers and students. We are wishing folks well here at NASW Colorado during these tumultuous times of COVID-19 and the racial pandemics. This video is being filmed while following strict social distance guidelines. My name is Dr. Julie Clockston. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, a little bit about membership, and then a little bit about my platform. So let's get started. Again, my name is Dr. Julie Clockston, the president of NASW Colorado's chapter. I'm the mother of 4. I use the pronouns she, her, and hers. I am a disability specialist, a field instructor for BSW and MSW students. I'm a therapist. I am an LCSW candidate supervisor, and so I work with individuals who are working towards licensure to help them get their supervision hours. I'm a consultant for colleagues, and I'm a trainer. I am a professor and a lecturer, and I'm just a solopreneur. I have worked with children, youth, and families for many years. I was a therapeutic foster parent, and then I started working with adults who are diagnosed with developmental, intellectual, and cognitive difficulties and disabilities. And I've been doing that for the better part of 28 years. Recently, I was able to train with some amazing psychologists to become a forensic competency-based family assessor, specifically for parents who are diagnosed with developmental, intellectual, or cognitive disabilities. And I consider myself a family preservationist and a mental health normalizer. So when we talk about association, an association is a means or method of doing collectively for ourselves, things that we cannot do individually, to serve the common good of our membership. And NASW is 65 years old this year. It was founded in 1955, and it is the largest and most recognized membership organization of the professional social workers in the world. NASW works to enhance the professionals' growth and development of the members. It works to create and maintain professional standards and to advance sound practices. So we have somewhere around 120,000 members in NASW and about 18,000 student members. We have 55 local chapters, 1 in each state, plus US territories and international chapters. Social workers are bound by a code of ethics, and our NASW member social workers affirm the NASW ethics. And that code of ethics is a guide to professional conduct that includes specific ethical standards for social work practice and provides a basis for adjudication. Top reasons members join NASW. Advocacy efforts. We have amazing advocacy efforts on behalf of our profession. And for professional development, for continuing education credits, for CE credits towards licensure, and to keep current with their practice, to keep up their information and stay informed, and also for networking opportunities. As a solopreneur, that has been invaluable for me because I often work alone or solo, and so being able to connect with other colleagues and other people, I learn a lot from them, and I'm able to interact with them. So NASW also has amazing advocacy efforts on behalf of us. There's legislative advocacy and action alerts, and there's also the public education efforts through NASW through socialworkersspeak.org. And that allows social workers and the public to critique and improve the way that social workers and social issues are covered in the news media and portrayed in the entertainment industries. So when we think of our legislative advocacy and action alerts, basically it makes the members' voices heard in Washington and at state capitals, and advances the profession and keeps members informed of the latest policies, regulations, and all the things that have an impact on social work practice. And I had the pleasure, before COVID came, of going down to my state capital and testifying on behalf of our Mental Health Practice Act, otherwise known as the Sunset Act. And so it's really important for us as social workers to realize that no matter what, being a part of NASW is valuable. So we have dual chapter membership when we become a member with NASW. So you become a national member and you also become a local chapter member. And that has advantages because you can do all of these interactive things at the local level, but then also you can be interactive at the national level and you can get involved at the national level. So if someone is interested in what's going on outside of their home state, they can garner and collaborate and get involved at that level as well. Also keeps us in the know about what's going on both at the local, state levels, and also at the national level. So NASW supports students very well. I actually was the vice president of the Student Association of Social Workers at Metropolitan State University of Denver. And that's how I got involved and introduced to NASW and became a member. And I realized the value in it simply in the trainings that they were offering. Even though I wasn't licensed at the time, taking advantage of those trainings gave me such an advantage and so much information, and I felt like I was growing professionally and educationally leaps and bounds by attending those trainings. So we support students by paving the way for change, by helping them to have an overview of what's going on locally and nationally, and just supporting students in general. So we challenge as social workers injustice, and we enhance society, and we help others overcome challenges. We're everywhere, we're in every area, and we tackle such things as poverty, stress, discrimination, addiction, abuse, depression, unemployment, divorce, disability, loss, educational problems, mental health care, and mental illness. We actually are a part of every community, or we should be a part of every community, from hospice care to adoption agencies. We're in schools, we're in mental health clinics, hospitals, military, corporations, senior citizen centers, public social service agencies, and in county, city, and state official offices. So social workers are necessary in a plethora of places. And I really cannot think of a place that social workers cannot fit in. So we have the membership, and at the national and the local level in Colorado, students or professionals would become a member of the Colorado chapter, or if they were to move, they could move that membership to that state chapter, but they would still remain a member of the national chapter. They would have one-on-one access to NASW Colorado directors, local board reps, and in addition, there's access to national ethics and legal staff. There's the ability to participate in-person or remote activities. Now, we all know with COVID-19 right now, a lot of things have moved web-based, virtual-based. And I am all for that because I am a total advocate for COVID-19 safety. And so I just think that technology is amazing and that we should be using it to actually meet one another, collaborate, and to stay connected even during this time of COVID-19. With membership, members are able to participate in national listservs, in meetings, events, and advocacy efforts, and even testify for bills. And so that is huge. There are national career center opportunities, there are job postings and listings, and we have access to resources, journals, articles, and to licensure information. So with NASW, it is really important that we become members and we come into this wanting to make an impact. There are several communities that you can take advantage of within NASW. There are several specialty practice areas that you can take advantage of if you become a member of NASW. One of the communities is the My NASW community, and you can talk online around the state and country with other students, other professionals, and just get other people's perspective and have discussions about topics regarding the populations that we serve and the profession. So knowing the issues is being a part of the solution. And NASW is a collaborative association and open to working with all sorts of social workers, from social workers who work in education, those who work in advocacy, those who work direct service, those who work at the micro level with the individual, or the meso level, whether it be like maybe a school, or even at the macro level as a legislative person or professional. And I think that it's really important for me to say, when I got into social work, I had done a ton of trades. I had been in human services a very long time. And I actually found that getting into social work was amazing for me as a person. It fit very well with what I wanted to do, but I was very direct, person-centered, and I found that I needed to learn more about all levels of service delivery, because in a sense, working as a direct service provider, if I don't get involved at that meso or that macro level on some level, then my hands can be tied with what I'm trying to do at the individual level. And so you don't have to have a passion about all of those levels, but it's important for you to know that they're all equally important and to learn something about all of those levels. So NASW helps us as professionals and students to advance in the workplace and to learn best practices and to connect again, like I said, with our colleagues. So I think making the most of your membership is when you will see the value of being an NASW member. Even if you never got involved, just the legislative action that is taking place behind the scenes on behalf of our profession and the things that directly impact the populations we serve, the dues are worth it. But if you get involved, that will just exponentially increase the value that you see from NASW. And one of the things I want you to know is you don't have to know it all. None of us do. You don't have to be an expert in a lot of areas. Whatever your passion is, wherever you are an expert, you bring your thing, someone else brings their thing, I bring my thing, and then collectively, we are all able to cover areas of social work. So I want to make sure you know that you don't have to be an expert of all things, and you don't have to know all the things. So there are some things that you can do when you first become a member of NASW. There are quick tools and resources. Read the Social Work Advocates magazine. Look at the Social Work Journal online. Look at the references about legal issues. Review socialworkers.org for practice updates and learn about social work policy and priorities, and visit your chapter website. And so for us in Colorado, we have a website that has a plethora of information on it. There are free resources, all part of your membership. For example, legal and practice consultations, member link, resources and opportunities, subscribing to the social work briefs, and then our chapter offers events and information specific to our region as well. So these are things that you can take advantage of as a member of NASW. There's also legal and education and support. There's a legal defense fund, and it supports educational projects and programs to improve legal status and knowledge of social work, of the social work profession. And they publish a legal issues of the month and general counsel law notes series. And so that in and of itself is important for social workers to understand and to have a grasp on some of the legal aspects regarding our profession and the populations that we serve. But we may not be an expert in law, and so having that as one of our benefits is amazing. Also, our membership provides us with HIPAA training and compliance resources, and so that's another important aspect. And it prepares us to be ready for on-the-job challenges, whether we work as a solopreneur as I do, or for an organization or a company. It includes such things as discounted rates on liability insurance and free and discounted online courses. There are ethics and legal guidelines, plus free consultations. And so as a student, it's important for you to know that you will still want to be covered underneath some sort of liability insurance. And what a better way to do that than to join the NASW and become a part of the NASW's insurance, liability insurance plan. So one of the things that NASW also does is help us to be confident in our careers. There's a database for jobs that is a member perk. You can post your resume for employers on there. There are sample resumes, cover letters, and interview questions that you can review. And that's for the student or the seasoned professional. Sometimes a professional may decide, hey, I'm tired of working in this area. I would like to work in that area. Or I want to try doing this versus that, but it's still social work. And so just building skills around building up that resume and those cover letters and interview practice can be beneficial for all of us, no matter how long we've been in social work. So join us. Like, we would love to have you. You will fit in perfectly within our membership organization. And we just really want you to know that we are here to be a support and an encouragement for you. One of the things that I want to say to students is, if you join as a student and it was a benefit that I enjoyed, is you have reduced fees for 2 to 3 years post-graduation, which is very helpful. So you don't go directly from the student fee to the professional fee within that year's time. And that is very helpful because we all know that it can be expensive to budget in membership dues and fees. So I'd like for you to know our executive director's name. Her name is Heather McLaughlin. And she's amazing. And her information will be at the end of this video. I encourage you to reach out to her, to call, to email, and to ask questions. You can also reach out to me as well if you have questions. If I don't know the answer, I will definitely try to find that answer out for you. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that are important to me as a president. Like, a lot of things are important, but let's talk a little bit about a few things. One is telehealth. So I want to give credit to Mia Villanova, who did an article regarding telehealth. And basically, Colorado lawmakers and Governor Jared Polis have established a law to permanently expand our telehealth coverage across the state. This law is set up to make healthcare services, especially for mental health care, more accessible to people in both metro and rural areas. So not just rural areas, but metro areas as well. And one of the things that does is it breaks down barriers for some people. For example, people in rural areas sometimes know everybody in the town. And so there's already a stigma a lot of times about assessing mental health services. Well, now they can meet someone outside of their region, outside of their city, outside of their town, outside of their area within Colorado, and they can receive the mental health help that they need. So that's one of the things that is really important for me as a social worker, that people have access to mental health care. Because remember, I said, I'm a mental health normalizer. And that means we all have mental health, just as we have physical health. And for some people who believe in spiritual health, okay? So another thing that is on my agenda and that's important to me is to address BIPOC, which stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color, race relations, what's going on locally and nationally, and what is being felt and recognized by NASW. With that, I am also very much inclusive of LGBTQ plus community, and feel that NASW Colorado chapter has really done a good job about coming up with a diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility plan. So NASW Colorado's Vice President, Dr. Amanda Berinsky, and NASW Colorado Executive Director, Heather McLaughlin, along with others' input, put together an amazing plan. So the purpose of this document is to guide NASW Colorado in its governance, staffing, allocation of chapter resources, policy, legislative initiatives, and candidate endorsements, and programmatic activity to assure that issues of diversity, inclusion, equity, and accessibility and affirmative action are embraced throughout the chapter. This document will also serve as the national NASW requirement that each chapter maintain a diversity affirmative action plan. So, diversity is defined by NASW standards as indicators for cultural competency in social work practice. And when I talk about cultural competency, I am not exclusively talking about race. I am talking about culture in a whole context. Yes, it includes race. Yes, that is one of the things that is at the forefront of our minds right now and of our lives. And for me as a Black woman, it is one of the top things of which is on the forefront of my mind. But culture can include lots of things. For example, the population that I work with and that I'm very passionate about, individuals with developmental and intellectual disabilities. That is also a culture. And so another thing that I want to share is that NASW really is working with the local and the national legislation surrounding the police brutality. And I just want to speak to that for a second because I am a survivor of police brutality. And so for me, it's a very important area that we tackle as social workers. You know, I'm the survivor of police brutality. My experience happened some 24 years ago. And the only thing that sets me apart from other Black people who have endured this abuse is that we lived. However, what I can tell you is that the trauma that I sustained from that experience is one that I have to work through and will have to work through for the rest of my life. Also, Domestic violence is a plight of mine. It is also something that I'm very passionate about. In my private practice, as a survivor of domestic violence who has experienced both physical violence and more so psychological abuse, I work with individuals to help them on their journey to recover and to heal. So I am also the president of an organization called TASP. It is the Association for Successful Parenting. And this organization is an international organization dedicated specifically to the population of individuals living with developmental, intellectual, and cognitive differences or disabilities. As a social worker, I am dedicated to the advocacy and awareness for this population. And I am a family preservationist, as I said. And so I am in support of ensuring that families who are often disproportionately affected by discrimination and involvement with the CPS system receive the supports and services necessary to enhance and sustain their fair chance to parent. Now, this does not mean that I don't recognize the importance of children's safety coming first, nor does it mean that I am against CPS at all, or against CPS workers, or my colleagues who work at CPS. It means that I desire to work with them to train them regarding the DDID, developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities community, and that population, and how to work best with them, and how to help them recognize the importance of understanding the needs and how to support best this population. So one of the things that I have recognized as president, even more so because I'm always learning, I'm a lifelong learner, is the importance of the issues being not only micro, as I said before, that individual, but meso and macro level. And that is important doing the work that I do with the populations that I serve. At TASP, our mission is that we are dedicated to enhance the lives of parents living with cognitive difficulties and their families through education, advocacy, and support. Cognitive difficulties may include difficulties in learning, remembering, and making decisions that affect everyday life. Something else about me as president, I sit on 2 boards at Colorado State University. The first one is the Parent and Family Board. My goal with that board is to be a support and encouragement to other parents and families at the university. I have 3 children who are either alumna or currently enrolled at Colorado State University. And so we are Ramily. And then also I am recently a new member of the Colorado State Board School of Social Work External Advisory Board. And so those are the things that I am involved with. So I would encourage you to reach out to us. We are here to answer questions. We are here to support you. We are here to encourage you. And I want you to know, again, I want to reiterate that social workers and students do not have to know everything. We all have different passions, and through our collective action, organization, and policy, we can create change as NASW Colorado members. And we can do that at our local level and at our national level. And so there are ways to get involved. I'm going to be starting some coffee chats that will be coming up, and I am hoping to see you all there. I am hoping to see new people there, and it's just going to be a time of networking and getting to know our colleagues, not just in the Denver metro area, not just in the Aurora area, but all over Colorado. I want to know people from all areas of Colorado because this state is important to me from corner to corner. So this is the end of what I have to say. I thank you so much for your time today, listening to me and hearing what I've had to say. And I would just ask you to look at the credits as they roll, because they will have some information that might be helpful for you in terms of how to contact individuals. Thank you so much for your time.